to our guests. First of all, thank you for coming, for joining us for our first date of Ballet Aperitivo. So often we are in conversation with John and he tells a story about his experience, about his professional career and personal experience, and we're always so fascinated by this. So we wanted to share this also with more professional dancers.
We want to do this, this is the first edition, but we want to do with more dancers, and the more we find, and with other subjects also that we can find with time. But the idea came also from Luana's relationship to John, because it all comes to how you learn ballet and how you connect with your teachers and how you connect with the people you work with, because in the end it's really difficult in ballet to separate your personal life from the professional life. It's really something that you cannot, you live for it, you get to know your best friends through dance, you get to know people that you want to keep in your life, and I think that Ballet Aperitivo also, we want to take back a little bit this idea of we don't want to forget that there are other dancers that also have their stories that need to be told and heard, because sometimes dancers are too much into my feet, my leg, and
that's good.
Yeah. And we forget that we have here people in the same city that worked with Nureyev, and sometimes some of these things, if we share these things, then maybe new things can be created. We can start choreographing, I don't know, who knows what you can create from inspiration from other people, other people's experience.
Yes, actually that's how I also met John, because Diana was saying, in the dance world, and you create connections and you make friends, dear friends, and actually that's how I started going to John's class at first. A friend of mine suggested me to try his class.
I tortured you.
Yes.
As I do everybody.
Yeah. It wasn't easy in the beginning for me, because it was very different from what I was used to in other professional classes, in other spaces. Even things were starting working in the right way, because this is what I always felt, that I was missing a very good base of ballet. Even if I started in a professional school in Italy, but anyway, I was missing something that I could find in this class. And apart from this, the style of the class was so beautiful. The adagio, the lyrical style, it catches you, because it's something you don't find anymore. You don't find this style in any other classes in Berlin, and again, not only in Berlin, also in Italy. I never had such a class also in Italy. And so that's why I went back. And I'm happy that I went back. And ever since I've
7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years later. And ever since I always suggested other friends to go to his class, because also
between the two.
Yeah. I don't remember actually. I think no.
I heard from John.
Sure.
No, I think you told me.
How did you find me?
I don't know. I think there were flyers in Deutsche Oper.
Okay.
And
I
was one time at your class.
Yes, that comes
but
out.
Yeah.
You're that girl who left halfway through Plié.
It was like, how can I get through bar? Because already your bar training was already very hard, and John likes having a lot of period at the bar, and it's not my favorite thing. So I was like, oh shit. So it was in 2016.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I was young.
But then since then, regular.
But you were also training to do lots of things, to become a teacher.
Yeah.
I remember
there
you
was
beginning.
In between, yes,
and your lovely Baroque dancing, which is for us very interesting. So it all links together, and when you would go to Poland and you have this marvelous company, have you seen the film? It's incredible, it's so professional and so unusual to find it, it's a little niche, isn't it?
It is. And so I sometimes see in your training, there's some things you see, the connection, and when he's using also the Cicchetti you're using in your class, and Cicchetti is also an important link actually between the Baroque and the classical era. It's
and
it's
the
one
imperial
of
ballet,
them, but it's you feel okay, there's something which is And this is nice to experience in class. And you're not like, sometimes now in class you feel like you have to dance very modern or contemporary or like exaggerating things, and there you can stay in the classical thing, and it feels like coming home, you know. And this is important because this is a class about, later you can, statistically you can go somewhere else, but or you do the style on the stage. But
that's good to hear.
That's really
And it's
that's
lovely. Of course, we the problems haven't changed. I mean, the problematic you guys have, we just had a different world to deal with it. So the problems, our problems, they haven't changed.
Yeah.
But somehow it was easier back then. Easier in some ways because you had more people, and it was a smaller group of people. You could concentrate more, and you had a lot of people with a lot of experience. And you got people who flunky out there and so on. You know, the same. Yeah.
And actually, I think also one of the things that are really particular about your generation is that when you teach, you kept this knowledge that you got from the choreographers, from the teachers back then. I think Yvonne has the same.
She does.
And
very similar.
we as professionals, when we take that class, it's always a torture. But if we,
nice torture.
But it's good torture.
Thank you.
It's good.
It's like I said, you're like, oh.
Next.
And we know.
Come on.
No,
Have a
but
drink. Yeah, I understand that.
For those of us, and for me, this is a problematic of how the education is nowadays and how it was back then.
Right.
Because, I mean, we know, at least in the Kollektiv, we know that if something is challenging, it is because you need to keep working. So if you go to a class and it's challenging, you're frustrated, it means that it's good because you can keep work on things. And if it's just about being pretty and putting your leg in here, then it makes no sense, at least for us. And this is how we view dance.
Yeah.
And this is how we would like dance to be, you know, and sometimes it's not like that. And I think that even in today, classes like this, like John's, like Yvonne's, from this generation of artists, it still gives us a lot to use, not only in auditions, because Luana got her first contract, thanks to John's classes and John's training, you know.
We work together.
And
you know, it's not exaggerated to say that, because really, I mean, what I really found in John's class, different from other classes, was this stillness and this inner work that you do in ballet, which in other schools, in other classes, it was always more about showing off. Like Diana is saying, showing the legs up, showing how pretty you look. And in John's class, everything was like inner work. So you anatomically understand where you have to work. And this really gets you to a point where you improve also your self-confidence. I was really feeling more confident,
Used to be
more
much.
sure about
You were
what.
like this when I
Yes.
first met you, really.
Exactly.
You were like this, and you didn't attack it enough, and you pulled back.
John always says, attack it.
I think if you've got an audience, you can't pull back. You've got to pull out because they're paying money. But that's not the main reason.
Which still, it's different than showing off,
Yeah,
because
showing off.
you only gain this confidence
Interesting.
when you are really inside yourself, you are sure of what you're doing. This is why I'm not exaggerating when I say I got my first contract thanks to you, because I know I was looking
was your
different.
Well, there is not often a training when you're in school, you train with the same teacher for a long time. Here you have more teachers, or you can change also the training, but I think there are not so many classes where you also develop and also change your body. And I think with your class, we can still change our body, like positively. I remember.
Not with force. But
I'm not with force. But it was just like, because I remember when I took your class more regularly, and then I was with Diana somewhere, and she said, "I see changes in your upper body."
that's good.
You know, and this is like, you don't hear that so often. I mean, you still keep going, you know your things, you know what you have to work on, but it's always good to have someone also taking care of you, you know, like also saying, you know, shoulders down, you know, that was my issue. Still is. Shoulders down, but
Mine too.
so, but you know but this is like how you change, because we also need someone who reminds us, okay, you have to work more now here, or you have to, you know, and this is, we need that person, and this is, because now you're training somewhere and no one is watching or giving individual corrections.
They won't.
And it's actually quite easy, because when you walk, when dancers doing something at the bar, I mean, you can walk through lines and then you see and you can adjust little things to people, but no one is doing it anymore so often, and it's sad. I mean, it's good to give common corrections, but individual corrections are also...
Yeah, well, it's basically, for me, anybody can give a class. Anybody can give a class. But to teach a class is something different. Giving classes is giving classes everywhere, and really marvelous dancers who had careers and they learn to become teachers, and they give classes. Now some are very good, and others are just giving classes, and that's where it starts. And testing 1, 2, 3. No. But I think this whole thing comes because when I started in 1960, not going so far, but I have to go so far back. It was a very small classical ballet dance world, because we also had not only classical ballet, we had Graham and a few other things, Limon and things, but that was it. So we were very small, so we were very aware it's something very special, and it's almost holy. It sounds sacrilege, but it's really, for us it was holy. Now, to come into that, you had to go into a modus of, I'm part of this marvellous new world, even in Australia in the outback, called Sydney. and so you create an idea how you want it to go on, and even very humbly. I mean, some of us have been I had a very little school until I left for Stuttgart, but she was from the Vodovonsky, which was from the Ballet Russe, which was from Cecchetti, and she brought that to me. And then she said, it's not enough. You've got to take that now. You show me what you're going to do with it. And that's when you start teaching. And then I started teaching when I was 12 to assist her, and I learned through teaching a lot, as we talked about. Because when you teach, well, she assisted me, but I assisted her. And then until I was confident enough after a few years to give my own opinion, that's teaching. Now, it may not suit everybody, but you have to be honest. If you're going to do something live, you can't just copy what you've learned. Even at universities, whatever, you become a really creative person, an individual, once you start doing your own stuff. Doesn't matter. And it may not fit everybody, but that's how I've always gone on. And all these teachers came and, mainly from the old times, even from the Pavlova company. She had her own company. She went around when she separated from Dìaz, and she went to America, to South America. She went to South America, and she dropped off, as they all did, they dropped off dancers and they started schools which made companies. It was like seeds. So Dìaz we have to thank for, and he also brought
the virus of ballet.
The virus of ballet.
All over the world.
But of course they were all total artists, all those people I knew back then, Massine taught mime at the Royal Ballet School, Massine, the great man. And this started, and today it's not so fashionable. but and stuff like that.
I think they had also some Stanislavski influence, right?
Stanislavski was in London too. They came to London because the revolution came and they didn't know where to go. Some went to Paris. Balanchine went to the States. That's where it came. Where he said, this Hades is Argon. But anyway, but you're right. But it was like a little clicker again. It wasn't huge. So, and then it went out and it goes out, and I'm a generation from the post-Dìaz time. And I learned if you're going to teach, you have to make an atmosphere, to make an aura. And you have to go into bodies. Don't just teach the outside of the body. You must go into your body, into your, not almost to your soul, and say, what's going on in there? Why can't they move? And that's why when somebody, you know what I mean. So when somebody walks new into the classroom, I see how they walk and how they then I know what's going on.
But this is a gift also you have that you really.
But you learn gifts.
No, yeah, I think that
you have talents, but you
with
have
this
to
experience.
And watching bodies over and
over for thousands and thousands of hours. But it never, for me, it's never been bored. I've never been bored, I don't think. I might have got frustrated. In the ballet companies too, but they're also arrogant, you know, you're the ballet master, you've got to go, then they just ignore everything and say, what am I doing here? And then we have the same problem. That didn't start early, that started from the 90s. This is a 90s deal.
Yeah, it's a new generation.
And a whole, I must say, from the new United States of America, I won't say them now, a whole, they're still new for me, a whole influence came over, which has changed our dance world today, for good and for bad. It's become too global. But anyway, there we are. So you're taking in like taking it on, working it through with these teachers, and even bad teachers. I mean, bad teachers, no bad. Somebody who doesn't know what's going to say, I will never do this. I will never do that. And just watching dancers and watching children. You know, I used to teach a lot of children. Just watching how they approach music. Not dance, how they approach music and how they would go automatically into a waltz. They won't know the step, but you say, that's talent. That's talent. Their feet might not be so good, but who cares? But they're dancing. So this is how it builds up.
This is also interesting from your experience that you actually started teaching at a very, very young age. And like you were saying, assisting your teacher, the Mrs.
She was in Brisbane, and she was with the Bolovansky. And then she said, so we didn't have teachers training courses, they didn't exist. There's no certificates. Actually, there's no certificates for dancers, I don't believe, but still. There's no diplomas, there's no doctors, and no masters in this. But if you need it today, you need it. You need it. Because if they see you haven't got these, you won't get a job. Now that's what's happened. Okay.
Go.
No, you go.
Now this is interesting because we were discussing the other day how you define a professional dancer. Somebody who has a paper that says
when you get paid, you're professional.
When you pay taxes, you're a professional dancer.
I pay tax, I'm a ballerina. Okay. Class A plus.
To do something, right?
Something different from the past because it wasn't like this back then. And
you know, we live in a world which is something. It's not a fantasy world, and I'm still in it. Unfortunately, it's a world where you don't try to find the limits. It's limitless. And whatever you do, when I was dancing or with profis and that, it's like we're in this special, magical sort of ballet or dance world, and we're protected from the outside. Now, a lot of you young dancers won't know that, but we used to be protected from the theatres and from where you've come from and how you hold yourself, how you speak, how you everything. And this was beautiful because people think that's snobby or it's illegal. It's not. That's been misunderstood. It's just we have to keep together like a group. And that's missing these days.
This is super interesting. This is super interesting because when you said, every time you say that you started teaching at 12 years old, to me, like in my context of today, it's like that's illegal. You know, that's who would do that in 2022? But the world,
pay for my classes.
Yes, of course. Back then, the world was completely different. The economy, the way that art was seen, and this is why. And it's not so far away.
No, not really.
I mean, it's not far, like it was 200 years ago. It's just something that we're still talking to each other, and
over 60
the world was
years,
so
but there
different.
we are. Yeah, but you're right. It has to do with how the world changes. But you know, ballet doesn't change for the world. Theatre doesn't change for the world.
Yes,
you know, and this is what they try to do. They throw overboard everything. Let's take shortcuts, and they don't work. You get injured. That's another whole theme. I won't go to that now.
Maybe later.
We'll get there because it all links together. You know, and not everybody is made for a ballet career. They're made to enjoy ballet as an art form, as a hobby, the music, the theatre. curtain goes up and you've lost yourself. And today it goes up, it's like looking at the Olympics, you know, and it shouldn't be, because there are artists out there, I won't say that, but it's been forgotten to bring that out in the young dancers. You have to do this slowly, you know, and the magic of the theatre when the stage is opens up and then the world comes out. It doesn't have to be Swanberg, it can be anything. We did a lot of neoclassicals, which was almost modern works back then. It's the same magic, like the Stuttgart Ballet, and things like that. So this is a little bit lost, and I only say to people, come to my class in the humble way, is find it in class. Find the feeling that you are on stage, or even on a stage, but you are projecting something. And so tension, you can't have tension. I never go to Vaganova because she didn't believe in tension. I was thinking about it today from the old Vaganova teachers I had. I said she broke down this, I have to do it, to I'll do it, but I'm going to do it because I want to show you something. I'm not going to do a position because it's in the book or people have and so then you could develop your own style as it went through. And it's never, it's endless. It's endless, isn't it? You find? There's no stop to it, is there? Wait till next week.